Hey everyone, it's Mr. Souther coming at you with a video about what to do for the AP exam. So I'm going to use the old rock, paper, scissors app to go ahead and show you everything you need to know for the AP exam. This is just for the create performance task that they talk about. So I'm going to go through kind of what you need to do, and then there's a separate video if you want to see it on how to upload and what to upload for your AP exam performance task. Okay, so we have rock, paper, scissors done. There's a couple elements that's kind of cool. I'm gonna go ahead and run it just to jog your memory. There is a display for what you choose, and a display, or sorry, display for what you choose here. That's the person, and then the computer will choose one at random. So there's a couple things that are in here that the AP exam that satisfies the AP exam requirements. First and foremost, one of the main things that any program really has to have are inputs, storage, and outputs. Okay. So in terms of input, that's why I used to ask you when you run one of these apps, what is it that the user is driving? In this case, I get to choose rock, paper, scissors, right? So there's very clearly some sort of input from the user. So if I choose scissors, that has to be stored somewhere, right? And then the output is what you're seeing with the icons, right? If I choose, rock, it shows the fist, right, for me, and things like that. So I see two ways of doing inputs. One is we have a list called icons, and I can see all the images are copied into here. We also have a corresponding list that's made for choices so that the first value is rock, and so it matches the image. There is a variable for both player and computer scores. It's initialized to be zero, and then obviously we go through it and add one every time every time someone wins. Okay, so right off the bat, we have our inputs, outputs, the variables are all satisfied. So when you create your own performance task, you need to have some sort of variable. It doesn't have to be lists. I might recommend it because you might be able to use a for loop. And then you need some sort of variable to obviously track scores. That's why trivia, quiz, and games are great for the performance task. Okay, so the second big component that you need is you need to have functions. In code.org, they're all green. You need to write a function, and then you also need to call a function. On line 13 here, what I see is there's an update screen that takes in the parameter rock. You do not need to have parameters. There's nothing in the text that says that, at least for this year in 2025. But you do need to write some sort of function that you call. So if you look at update screen, for example, rather than doing all the code for every single if, what they did was they said, hey, let's go and use a function called update screen. We're going to go ahead and even within here for computer choice and winner, they have two other functions that are being called, right? So it's possible to call functions within another function, and that's totally okay. So all of that's listed there. So if you want some sort of function, the easy one to look at is right here. So like find icon name. And when you did this lesson, this is the first thing you did. Hey, if the icon name that's coming in is equal to rock in quotations or paper or scissors, you're going to go ahead and display whatever value there is from the list. So icons bracket 2, for example, would show the image of scissors, right? So on and so forth. And there's a return. I have to double check, but I don't think returns are necessary, but you need some sort of function because that's where this comes into play, just so you're aware, is the last component, the fourth component is saying, hey, you have to have some sort of data abstraction, something that makes the code a little bit more efficient. And functions are a great way to show that and talk about it, right? Then the purpose of the function is you don't have to keep coding the same lines of code over and over, copy and paste them. You can just merely call the function, and it's much easier to, especially when you get to Java in the advanced class to use different methods or functions in this case and call them wherever you please. Okay, so the function takes care of data abstraction. The other thing we need to note is you need to have some sort of conditionals. Now, if you have, say, a while loop or a for loop, technically there's a condition inside the parentheses. I like to use if and else ifs just because it's very explicit, like, hey, we're using conditionals. So if the winner is a draw, then show that you got a draw. If the winner is player, then show that the player is the winner and add one to their score. If the winner is the computer, then add one to the computer score, right? So those are all embedded in the function, but more importantly, they are conditionals. So you need to have these as well. Let me think if there's anything else. The last little piece that I do need to talk about, you don't have to use a random number generator. The last piece we need to talk about is the for loops. And I realized maybe in this one, there was no for loop. So let me go ahead and try and add one. So a great way to do this is let's say you wanted to have some sort of way to um, go through a list, or maybe you want something to repeat. That's what they mean by the iterative process. Um, So in that case, what we're going to do is we're going to actually go through and create some sort of, you could do a filtered list or something that's going to go ahead and go through um, some sort of iterative process. Okay, and just to finish up what we were doing here, what I did was I took the rock, paper, scissors and to show some sort of iteration happening. Here's what I did is I just wanted to, I made two new things. One is I made a text box that's going to display the how many times I played the rock. And then I'm going to add an I'm done button because I needed some sort of on event to trigger this other function I wrote. So basically what I did was I created a list called user played. This is going to track all the moves that you have played as the user. And then what I did was down here, when you go ahead and let me see where I had it right here for the append item. I took in the player choice and I basically added whatever you played to that list called user played. And that's going to happen every time that update screen player choice is called. And then at the very end, what I did was I made an I'm done button because I needed a way to, I wrote a new function called display moves. And here's the for loop I want to show you to show the iteration. I said, hey, we're going to set the index I equal to 0, run it till the end of the user played list. And then every time that user played, that specific element is equal to rock, add one to the rock counter. And then I said, hey, show the text that you played the rock X amount of times. And that's what it does. So if I'm going to hit run, so let's just play paper, scissors, and I'll do the rock however many times, right? Maybe 4 times. Once I hit I'm done, it'll display how many times I played the rock. So you could use a for loop for that if you want to go ahead and do that. So hope that helps, and just let me know if you have questions.